Here's me, 2015, living in the suburbs of Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. But how did it come to be this way? Let's go back a bit. Whoops, that's a bit too far back. That's better. It all started with the birth of the current oldest living member of my family, my grandfather. He was born in Lahore, Pakistan on November 1st, 1931, but his ethnicity was still Indian. He was born to a family of a mother, a father, and 3 other brothers. His education began when he was at the age of 4, and he went to school up to the age of 8. After that, he was forced to go to work to earn money for his family, because they weren't all that wealthy. This was the point where my grandfather gained his tailoring skills. He worked sewing clothes for the other families in the community. As time went on, my grandfather's mother sadly passed away when he was at the age of 16. Since she was one of the sole earners of the family, their wealth was greatly decreased. This is when they decided to move to India to find better working opportunities. Let's go back a bit, again to 1934, when my grandmother was born on June 15th in the country of Burma. She went to school until the age of 8 when the Burma Campaign War broke out in 1942. The Burma Campaign in the Southeast Asian theater during World War II took place from 1942 to 1945. During the first year of the campaign, the Japanese army, with aid from Thai forces and Burmese insurgents, had driven the Allied British forces and Chinese forces out of Burma and occupied the country. From May 1942 to December 1942, active campaigning ceased, as the monsoon rains made the forested and mountainous areas almost impossible to navigate through the border between India and Burma. Both the Allies and Japanese faced severe constraints. When the rain ceased, the Allies launched 2 offensives. 1. An attack in the coastal Arakan province failed with severe effects on Allied morale. This was restored partly by improvements to administration and training, and partly by the much published results of a raid by troops under Brigade Ord Wingate. This raid may have also goaded Japanese commanders into launching major offensives the following year, which failed disastrously. When the campaign began, my grandmother and her family fled to India, where they decided to start a new life away from the chaos of war. My grandparents met when they were in their early 20s. They got married in their late 20s and had 2 sons and 1 daughter, one of the sons being my dad. My dad spent a short time in India, with my grandfather earning small money from tailoring and my grandmother being a stay-at-home mom, unable to find or qualify for a job. Their wealth was limited, along with unclean water due to India being a tad bit underdeveloped at the time, and overpopulation in and around the country. Life in India was no longer an option. So on December 1st, 1979, the entire family immigrated to Canada. Why Canada? Well, that's because my aunt immigrated there years prior because of marriage, so Canada seemed to be the right place. With opportunity knocking on every door, Canada was the best place to continue their lives. But there was one thing holding them back: English. They didn't know how to speak it, but with some English classes, speaking to others was a breeze. June 1999, my father went back to India to visit, and this is where he met my mother. They got married in India on October 17, 1999. My mother stayed in India until she got a Canadian citizenship. So, on July 28, 2000, I was born. My mother came to Canada along with me in October 2000, just after the present-day dispute between Justin Trudeau and Stephen Harper began after the tragic death of Pierre Trudeau occurred on October 3, 2000, when Stephen Harper eviscerated on Pierre about him being a failure, saying he caused huge deficits, high taxes, and bloating bureaucracy. Present day 2015. Justin has turned the tides and took over the throne of Prime Minister of Canada, defeating Stephen Harper and reclaiming the name Trudeau as political. The political world has changed. Here is me in 2015, and this was my place in Canadian history.